Hello and welcome to a very special edition of the Alula webinar. Today we are talking about Interlogix, what to do after the news. On the agenda for this webinar, we will be talking about the early days of Interlogix. We will talk about what went wrong along the way, why moving from Interlogix to Alula makes sense, why you should change now, how Alula is the answer to your problems, and we'll also look at a special rebate for Interlogix dealers while leaving ample time at the end for your questions and answers. First, let's meet our presenters. All of them have deep roots at ITI, GE Security, and Interlogix. First up is Brian Seaman. He's the EVP of Operations Development for Alula. He was formerly the Vice President of Engineering for GE Interlogix and worked at GE Interlogix for 5 years, from 1995 to 2000. Next is Paul Saldin. He's our VP of Engineering. He was the hardware architect for the Simon panel, as well as the voice of Simon 2. He worked at ITI, GE Interlogix for 12 years, from 1993 to 2005. Lastly is Dave Main, VP of Project Management. He was the Vice President of Residential Marketing for GE Security, and he worked there for 6 years, from 1999 to 2005. Thank you for joining us. Brian, would you like to kick it off?
Yeah. Yes. Hold on the slide for a second. I would like to point out that the three of us bring to this the security industry. We have career trajectories that are both from inside the industry as well as outside the industry. And the combination of those experiences we believe are very relevant. We have technology, volume, and scale perspectives that we can really leverage into this market. Myself, for example, I've been in semiconductors, home automation, automated meter reading, and Paul has had extensive development experience across multiple technical industries. Dave has been very strong in meter reading and a wide array of IP-connected devices. So just in general, you've got the three speakers today. We're very experienced in connecting devices, and this is core to where the security industry is poised to move, not only today, but more importantly in the future, and that we're positioned, along with Alula, in being able to move that. Let's go next slide.
Yeah, that's a great point. Let's look at Alula, the company that brought together these minds.
So Alula was the construction of two companies, IP Datatel and Resolution Products, came together in 2017. These were really two progressive companies that both came from roots in the security industry and developed a progression of great products, including the translator technology, as well as the first IP-focused alarm communicators. And what we intend to do, and we believe we're doing, is parlaying this into where the security industry needs to go next. And that's what we're going to talk about today, a little bit of the history, as well as how it transitions to the future.
That's right, Brian. Maybe you could walk us through some of the early days at Interlogix when a lot of this innovation started to happen.
Well, innovation happens at every step along the way in any technical industry. But there was a time at the beginning of what we look at as the high volume, recurring revenue based industry. It took a number of key developments to launch that part of the market, and ITI, and ultimately became GE Security and Interlogix, was core to that, with reliable wireless to be able to replace hardwire systems and move in and out of houses very quickly, along with self-contained panel, which was Simon, and that allowed, it changed the industry from installing one system a day to maybe 5 systems a day, and launched the summer market. And we were there. We were introducing these core technologies, like I say, Simon, the self-contained panel, Concord, the initial Concord Express, which was a combo hardwire and wireless panel. And as well, we had the first integration with Alarm.com on Concord, launching the interactive services. So those days were really the launching of the trajectory into the high volume and the beginning of the automation market in the security industry.
Yeah, it seems like a real recipe for success, but obviously we know with the news where this ends up. So, Paul, let me bring you into the conversation. I know you had boots on the ground there for a lot of this period. Why don't you talk through what happened during after that and where the company ended up going?
Sure, thanks, Kevin. Yeah, I started at ITI in '93. I was present for much of the '90s when a lot of this innovation took place that Brian was talking about, as a design engineer, actually participating in the innovation and the designs that were coming out of that organization. And I was there when GE bought the whole thing in 2003, and the machine was still working at that point. We were cranking out very innovative designs. We had our eyes set on interactive services. We were working with a little company called MicroStrategies that eventually became Alarm.com. We were working on innovative wireless technologies, not just sensors, but a lot of two-way wireless, basically extending the system outward in a wireless fashion with peripherals like keypads and other things like telephone modules and things like that. A lot of great innovation still going on. 2003, GE came in and bought Interlogix. And just so happens that GE was the biggest company in the world at the time, and the culture of innovation that we were used to at our little Interlogix was not present at GE. They instituted a lot of different processes that really slowed down the pace of innovation. We were still trying to crank out good stuff, but we just could not get it through the hurdles that were being put up in front of us by that big company. And when that happens, engineers leave, especially the most talented people who like to be innovative and like to see the fruits of their labor hit the market. And so a lot of the engineers started to leave, myself included, and we went off to places where we could innovate. And so what happened at GE Security and later at UTC during those days is they had a cored out engineering department that really wasn't getting much done anymore, and they started to part out their development out to various other places like other design centers in other countries. The sensors started to be made by other companies eventually, and it was a real fragmented offering that was not really all that well integrated anymore. And it just so happened that at that time, interactive services were really becoming a core part of the industry. And Interlogix and GE Security had really a great opportunity in those days to grab that and become a vertically integrated powerhouse at that time, because they were on the doorstep and very early with interactive services. That didn't happen because of the talent drain, and because Alarm.com finally found its footing and became a separate company and took their own path. Interlogix really just became a hardware player, and really was in maintenance mode for many years. A lot of those designs that were completed back in the 90s and early 2000s, they rode those designs. They added little bells and whistles on the side, and they were dependent on Alarm.com for a lot of the innovation on the interactive services side. And that was kind of a slow burn, because when you have multiple companies trying to put together a product line, it's slow. It's hard to, and you're competing with Alarm.com's other priorities. So that's kind of a little bit of a history of what happened back there in the days when a lot of the talent left.
And Paul, you're talking about the divergence of hardware and software. Brian, could you give us kind of an overview of how that's played out in the industry?
Yeah, I think that, the phenomenon of the that Paul was talking about on the previous slide, when you move out to a higher level 20,000 foot view of the industry, what Paul was talking to, and he mentioned it, was there were decisions or natural courses of events that moved the industry away from vertical integration in this space. And so I'm going to try to tell that story a little bit with this map here on the right. And this is not a good-bad map. This is a description or a visual representation of how companies that are playing in the market are focused. And so if you look at, start with Honeywell. Okay, Honeywell on the dimensions of this graph, horizontally is hardware innovation, means you make stuff, you make control panels, you make sensors. Services innovation on the vertical axis is, hey, you make services that that drive recurring revenue and a user experience. Honeywell represents a vertically integrated company that is doing both, and differentiated from Alarm.com, which is primarily focused, almost completely focused on services innovation, and to the extent that they need to, hardware innovation. Whereas Qualys is purely on the hardware innovation dimension, and they have to partner with Alarm.com. So what does this map mean? If you start with Honeywell, well, Honeywell, they have a strong hardware portfolio. They are well branded in the market, and they're vertically integrated. They do both the recurring revenue services and the hardware. But they're not the ones that are out there trying to push the envelope on speed to market and things like that. And then when you look at where Interlogix sat, like Paul said, they never connected completely in the services innovation, so that they were out in the doing both services and hardware. So they stayed on the hardware line, and they failed to move to the right because they weren't innovating fast enough. So where does Alula sit? Well, our direction is to pursue both a combination of wide-scale hardware solutions as well as aggressive, high-service, interactive services. And that's why our target is up and to the right. And that leaves the other hardware players like Qualys, 2GIG, and DSC all vying for Alarm.com's attention to deliver the complete solution. So bottom line is, we are highly focused on building a system that has both the hardware innovation and the services innovation all built into one product that gives the solution top to bottom, and you're not dealing with two companies coordinating not only their development but their support of the dealers. We're trying to be the one solution. And now Dave and Paul will take this on and explain exactly what is our solutions for the dealers.
Thanks, Brian. Yeah, Paul, if you could, why is this now the time that we want to move the industry back toward a vertically integrated solution and away from this divergence of hardware and software?
Well, there's a couple reasons why a vertically integrated solution is a better solution, Kevin. I mentioned speed of innovation on one of the previous slides, and that's one of the really big reasons. When you have the entire chain in one company, you're developing everything from the sensors to the hub, to the mobile apps, to the web apps, to the platform, the central station connection. When that's all under one roof, you can innovate much more quickly and much more effectively too, I might add, because there's no competing priorities and people are pulling all on the same wagon. and you get a real smooth innovation track. And we've shown that at Alula with our history of innovation. One point I wanted to make on Brian's last slide there, when he mentioned the innovators moving on to Alula, I just wanted to talk just briefly about our team here. These are not just any developers that moved over to Alula. The people that we have here that were involved in the development at ITI and Interlogix over the years are some of the main architects, like Brian Peterson, the main Concord software architect from way back. Dan Mondor was the main hardware architect on Concord and many of these other panels, including Simon. We've got Kevin Stebbins, who was the Simon software architect from way back. A lot of the RF engineers that worked under John Bergman in the RF group back at ITI. So this is really the dream team of the old ITI group. And coming together with IP Datatel, forming this vertically integrated package is incredibly powerful because putting together the platform engineers from that side of the business with this all-star hardware, firmware, UI team is a very powerful team. The way we look at this, and when we think about what you dealers are going through right now, you Interlogix dealers, this is a tough time for you guys, and we understand that, and we feel for you. Basically, we believe you have two choices here. You can take a small step and basically take the smallest possible move and stay on alarm.com and move to a different panel provider, or you can use this as an opportunity to really upgrade your business and outfit yourself for the coming decade or longer by moving to Alula, taking on a new platform and moving to something that's going to continue to innovate and not be a piecemeal platform. And we're here to help. We understand this is a tough time. It's going to be a tough transition to retrain people and to get your business on a new platform. You have to do it regardless. We think you should move to Alula and jump on the train.
That's right, Paul. And we've got solutions for every scenario that you might run into. That's another reason why Alula is an easier switch to make, because we cover the whole gamut. Paul, why don't you talk about all the ways in which we can solve that Interlogix problem?
Yeah, thanks. We haven't been sitting still since we formed Alula. We've been really working hard to bring innovation out there and solve problems for dealers. And you guys out there probably know about our translators. You probably know about our communicators. One of the problems we've been working on solving is how do you upgrade all these old installations out in the field that that are sitting out there. Maybe they're doing okay, but you've got competitors calling on these customers with a lot of new features. And how do you keep those installations fresh? And related to that are the cellular sunsets that are going to be hitting in a couple of years here, because every dealer has a number of installations in the field that are going to need to be upgraded from a cellular radio standpoint. And Alula handles those for you with a product that we've just launched called Bat Connect. Bat Connect, I'll talk about this a little later, but it allows you to upgrade those old installations and add new features, such as home automation, mobile app, integrated services, integrated video. And we'll talk about these features a little more later. But this is one of the real values that we bring as Alula, is not only do we add a solution to your portfolio for your go-forward installations, which I'll talk about in a second, but we also allow you to bring those older installations under the same umbrella, use the same user interfaces, use the same look and feel as your new installations, and train your team so that they can upgrade those old installs and put in new installs under the same umbrella. So that solution includes support for the old Networks panels, the old CADX NX panels, the old Concord panels, and the Simon panels, all those old installations can benefit from our radios and our interactive services. We can also offer our Connect Plus panel. The Connect Plus is a innovative hub-style panel. We have a full sensor line that goes with Connect Plus, and we also allow Interlogix sensors, or the old GE protocol sensors at 319.5 megahertz, to operate with the Connect Plus. So if you're taking over a group of sensors out there at an installation, you can put in a Connect Plus in a home, and that'll take over all those 319.5 sensors. We also take over hardwire sensors with our RE508X. That's our hardwire translator. That product allows you to take over 8 hardwire sensors, converts them to a wireless protocol that works with Connect Plus, and then of course you can continue to add wireless sensors on top of that as well. Or you can just put in a Connect Plus with purely wireless zones. So we give you this whole continuum of solutions that allow you to service your old installations, upgrade for sunset purposes, and as well as go forward with new installations, all under the same umbrella.
Now, a lot of people like that Simon panel because it was a low-cost product. One of the things that we're able to do with our Connect Plus, because it's modular, we can actually meet that low price point as well as scale all the way up to more interactive models based on your customers' needs. Paul, why don't you tell us a little bit about Connect Plus?
Yeah, well, we designed it to be a modular panel, and there's a couple of reasons for that. First of all, it allows us to innovate more quickly. We're into innovation. You might have heard that by now. But it allows us to make new cards that bring new innovation to the platform without having to redesign the entire platform. But the other thing is it gives a lot of flexibility to dealers. So I just talked about how we can handle old installations as well as new installations. The modularity gives you the ability to handle everything from your smallest homes all the way up to large homes and even light commercial installations. So across that dimension as well, we can handle your entire business. And that's due to the modularity. Not only can you handle a small home by plugging in an Ethernet cable at a low cost point, putting in a couple sensors, and using the mobile apps and a little wireless keypad, but we can also add cellular backup or cellular primary. We can add Z-Wave home automation. We can add full-featured wireless touchpads, touchscreens to the system. We can add integrated video to the system. All these different items can be added as a modular add-on, both from the hardware standpoint and from a software standpoint. And so it really gives you a lot of configurability and a lot of ability to tailor the installation for the actual situation you're in.
Now, this is a product that we just launched this summer and that we're all very excited about. Paul, it's got some fantastic engineering, so why don't you walk us through how Bat Connect will really change the takeover business?
Yeah, let me just go through a few of the features of this product. It's really an impressive product. So the first thing I'll point out is the Bat Connect is developed with what we call a tri-mode communicator, and that means that we allow connection to the outside world from the communicator over Ethernet cable, over Wi-Fi, and also over Category M1 cellular. A couple of words about Cat M1. Category M1 is a new IoT protocol that has been deployed by the cellular carriers, by your Verizons and AT&Ts of the world. And the purpose of Category M1 is to get away from the high bandwidth protocols that have been developed for your handsets and go on to more of an IoT-centric philosophy of lower bandwidth, lower power, and easier installation. When I say easier installation, it's much more robust than the older LTE technologies because of that low bandwidth. That allows us to get a 5x improvement in range on the Cat M1 cellular over the old LTE. So much better range, much better coverage, much better handling of difficult installation situations like basements or low coverage areas. The other thing about the BAT Connect that's really cool is it handles a lot of different panels. So not only do we handle the NX panel and the Concord panel, like I just mentioned, but we also handle a Vista or a DSC panel. And this gives you the ability to take over competitors' panels. If you've got a panel in a home that the customer likes and they want to stick with that panel, you can put the BAT Connect in, give them all these innovative features like mobile app interactive services, like the 7-inch touchscreen, like home automation, integrated video. All of these features are available in a retrofit situation or a new installation with the BAT Connect. So it can be used for upgrades, it can be used for takeovers, it can be used for sunset replacements.
And we've got some breaking news here on this webinar. A very exciting new product that could not be timed better, the ConnectXT. Paul, why don't you introduce us to this?
Yep, and so this is our radio for the Simon panel. Once again, it's a Category M1 radio with all the benefits that come along with that. Oh, one benefit I didn't mention on Category M1 is its longevity. The longevity of Cat M1 will be much different than what you're used to in the cellular world. And that's because of the fact that the 5G specification that everybody's heard so much about is including M1, Category M1, as its IoT spec. And so even though it's an LTE, a 4G LTE technology that's just been introduced, it's going to be rolled into 5G. And so as far as the eye can see, that Category M1 will be available out in the marketplace. But back to the ConnectXT, this is a radio for Simon. We've been doing radios for Simon for quite some time. This one is for the Alula network. It will give you all the same features that I just mentioned on the on the BAT Connect. Interactive control through our mobile apps, the ability to add home automation and video to that installation, and really upgrade those Simon XTs and move them forward, get them out of a sunset situation if that's the case. So this is a great option if you've got a lot of Simon XTs in the field right now that need to be upgraded. And once again, on both BAT Connect and the ConnectXT, what you're doing here is you're bringing your old installations into the modern world, and you're putting them under the same platform as your new Connect Plus installations with Alula. All the tools are the same, all the user interfaces are the same, all the features are the same. So you're taking your whole operation and sort of putting it under one umbrella.
Dave, I'm going to bring you into the conversation here. Why don't you talk to our dealers there a little bit about building a business around the Alula platform?
Yeah, thanks, Kevin. Just building on what Brian and Paul both said, I think we all recognize over the years, all of you that are attending defined yourself based on the product you installed in the early days. You were an Interlogix dealer. Some might be a Honeywell dealer. Whatever the panel was, it's been migrating more towards the interactive services. Everybody in the professional security industry is a service organization. You sell your customers the services. And what we want to do is give you an opportunity to have a complete interactive application that you can give that can provide integrated security, video, and automation across any panel that you install, whether it's new or a takeover installation. So, Paul walked us through the Connect Plus platform and BAT Connect and ConnectXT. Those are all products, and we're designing those products so you can have a single SKU on the truck. And if you're doing takeovers, if you're doing sunset, or if you're doing new installs, that SKU, those SKUs are going to cover every one of the different customer needs that you have in the marketplace. We're leveraging wireless technology to keep your account creation costs low, and we offer multiple paths of communications for our applications. So in all of these systems, we have IP Ethernet, we'll have Wi-Fi capabilities, and we have cellular capabilities, and we're using cellular that'll carry right into the 5G world in a low bandwidth mode in 5G, as well as IP and Ethernet. So you won't have to visit these again due to a sunset. You're going to be able to offer multiple paths of connectivity for your customers, and you're going to be able to deliver that all through an app that's going to look the same, whether it's on the wall or the phone in their pocket. And so most people don't think of Alula as a services company, but that's really how we define ourselves and how we start. And all of the work that Paul's team is doing on the hardware side is to enable the most comprehensive and easy way to consume that interactive experience, and then architect the value of vertical integration is we can control not only products we build, but we can partner with others and integrate on a cloud-to-cloud basis, or we can integrate with other network-connected devices inside the home. Some points that might not be made, and we're going to do deeper dives on these products on future webinars, is we manage our own Wi-Fi devices. They join our network. We can now control and give them a battery-backed, reliable connectivity to our BAT Connect or to our Connect Plus, so the touchpads aren't on the home network. They're managed by our own system, and they can be viewed by the management portal that we make available to all of our dealers. So think about Alula from the applications and the platform down. Think about how we are delivering not only the management of the security services, but we're bringing automation devices and even other Wi-Fi devices into the mix, and we're giving a unified app experience for security, automation, and video. And by the way, we can add home automation to any of those systems, including the Simon that Paul talked about a little bit earlier.
That's right, and you touched on it, but the Interlogix dealers out there right now, they're looking at different platforms, trying to figure out where they're going to go next. So if you could, Dave, tell us a little bit about what differentiates Alula's platform from some of the other ones out there.
All right, thanks, Kevin. Yeah, and I look at it, this highlights 5 things. I'm going to start in the middle, which is not where you're supposed to start on a slide, but that is an example of our dashboard. This is looking at an extended screen. You only see part of it, but you can scroll up and down. We have a customizable dashboard on our app that everybody that logs in can pick the cameras, automation devices, and sensors that matter most to them. You can always arm and disarm your security system, but you can start to view your home or your business the way that it makes sense to you. And myself and my wife might have different views on what we really want to see. That's all customizable on this app. This avoids having to bounce between screens, so it becomes a very intuitive and easy-to-use app, keeping your customer service costs low. The same app is what it'll look like if it's connected up to a Simon, a Concord, an NX, a Honeywell Vista, a DSC Power Series, or our own Connect Plus platform. So we drive that consistency. If you move to the upper left corner, one of the things that vertical integration brings that others can't match is the fact that we can take our 7-inch touchscreen, the one that we made for Connect Plus, and we can carry that same user experience down into the home. You can mount that on the wall, and Paul's team designed a power supply on there so it's easy for takeovers. If you already have wires in the wall and you're popping a keypad off of a Concord system, you can replace it with our 7-inch touchscreen and control that Concord system using the existing wiring, and now have a consistent user interface on the remote app as what you have on the wall. So this touchpad will work connecting up to a Connect Plus, our own panel. The same touchpad will connect up to a BAT Connect if it's hooked up to a Concord NX, Vista, or Power Series, or a NAPCO. And then we can provide that consistent user interface. That also gives people, as we move around over to the right, the opportunity to replace a keypad that might be old and yellowed with a new 7-inch touchscreen. Again, we talk about takeovers. A lot of people have successful businesses doing takeovers. If you're concerned about your accounts being taken over, or you're seeing your attrition rates go up, If you can go over and not only deal with the sunset issue and say, I can give you a new device and it's going to carry over into the latest cellular technology. It's also going to give a second path of communication over IP. And oh, by the way, I can replace your keypad with this 7-inch touchscreen. You've just secured and brought more value to tie that technology to those people's lives than you could have if you just came in and swapped out the cell radio. So we're really bringing an opportunity to give a true upgrade to security systems and even modernize on a new install the user interface. We have a very affordable touchpad that can work on almost any platform out there. And then we drive multiple paths of connectivity. We started development around the world of IP. Ethernet and broadband technology is pervasive in North America, and all of your customers have it. This industry was built about putting security systems in and leveraging a communication path that the customer paid for. That was the phone lines historically. Phone lines are going away. It's now VoIP and broadband connectivity. We can leverage that and provide full interactive services without having to pay any extra cellular costs and providing quick and responsive connectivity. And we can carry that also with cellular backup. So we can give dealers the opportunity to start to sell the value of cellular again. 15 years ago, 10 years ago, that was here, we'll give you a security system and cellular's an extra $4 a month. Dealers are now giving that away. We're able to allow you to sell the value of that again and bring multiple paths of connectivity. And these are some of the things that we've really built into our architecture, and we carry it forward in all of our products and all of our services.
And Dave, you touched on that unified experience, having the same interface, whether you're on the touchpad at home or whether you're on your cell phone when you're away from home. Why don't you dive a little deeper on why that's important and why Alula is uniquely positioned to deliver on that?
Yeah, well, I mentioned, Kevin, that all of you on the call here, you sell services, and if I look around at websites, almost every one of you promote your services based on either the app or the way that your customers interface with your security system. Touchscreen on the wall, whatever that device is. We allow you to carry that forward in all the equipment that you install. So this helps carry your image and brand and allow you to differentiate in the market. It also greatly reduces your service costs because there's less training involved. It's the same terminology used throughout. It's the same setup parameters used throughout. It really helps keep your service costs down, which leads to better customer satisfaction. I think another point I want to highlight is bullet number 2, lightning fast. If you start talking about video and automation and security technologies, you want them to be responsive. You push a button, you want it to happen. If I'm coming home with groceries, I'm standing in the rain, I want to unlock my door, I don't want to stand there for 37 seconds and wait for it to unlock. Every system on the Alula network responds in a matter of a second. And that responsiveness creates improved customer satisfaction, reduces attrition, and allows you to adopt automation technologies more freely. So we really drive that speed, and that speed happens not only because we're IP and broadband connected, it'll happen over cellular as well. We maintain active connections, we monitor those connections, and we give a responsive platform, whether you're doing service work through our portal or whether you're using the app.
Hey, Kevin, can I add on here? This is Brian.
Yeah, please do, Brian.
What Dave is describing here is not only a benefit, but under the hood, this is the reason why we're able to deliver these types of performances being a vertically integrated company. If you think about what the experience is from a different set of suppliers, the experience that is viewed at an Alarm.com mobile phone app is completely different than what they might see on a 2 gig unit or a Qualsys unit or a DSC unit. All those three are different on the hardware level in the house, and they're all 4 different from what you see at the Alarm.com experience. And that is due to This is one of the benefits of vertical integration.
And then building on that, one of the other benefits of an innovative design team is the fact that we're still able to bring that same user experience to all those systems that Brian mentioned, because we connect the touchpad up to our BAT Connect product. It's connected over our own Wi-Fi link, and then we're allowed to use that same application to control the system. We don't have to go out to the cloud. We can do it all locally, but that's part of the innovative culture that we have here at Alula.
Now, we know no one was expecting this Interlogix news. No one was sitting around with extra money on their hands looking to invest it. So we're all kind of having to scramble and figure out our next steps. And Alula really wants to help you along the way, and that's why we've created some special pricing for Interlogix dealers to help you through this transition. Dave, why don't you walk us through these price points?
Yeah, and I think, Kevin, we're going through the process of relaunching our own Connect Plus. You mentioned we just announced the BAT Connect. We've been aggressive in the marketplace to try to help dealers innovate in general. And so what we had done recently is first off, we've done some special promotional pricing around our Connect Plus product family. A panel alone is $79 running through the end of Q1 of 2020. We built models of our Connect Plus. We talked about the modularity. We're also driving simplicity and to keep account creation costs low. So we have models that you can order that have the home automation card, Z-Wave card, that are touchpad ready and have an M1 cellular card installed at the factory. So you open up the box, set it on a desk, plug it into a wall, plug it into a router, and you have an interactive security system up and running with 2 paths of communication and an ability to add a 7-inch touchscreen. And we're offering that to the market at under $150. If you add a 7-inch touchscreen to it, you're under $230. That's our promotional price. We're running through the end of Q1, and that's across the market. But recognizing that all of the Interlogix dealers have more costs, more training, and more pain being inflicted on them in a very short period of time, we're offering special rebates that would apply to all of these promotional pricing that can bring you to a fully interactive IP-based security system at $54, all the way to a full 7-inch touchscreen security system with home automation, cellular backup, ready to go for $179. This is after rebate. And we're trying to make this very simple for people. You can buy the product through any of our distributors, get it on the shelves, and start to install, and then we're able to apply those rebates. We have a link here where you can sign up to be part of that program. It's not going to obviously address all of the concerns you're facing and all of the challenges you're facing in trying to reinvent and adopt new technologies, but we're doing what we can to introduce you to an innovative platform, something that can work whether you were installing Concords, NXs, or Simons, and bring you into the new world of the connected home. And again, I mentioned earlier, we're going to go do deeper dives on, how does Connect Plus fit if I'm a Concord dealer or an NX dealer or a Simon dealer? It's interesting. The architecture of this platform is closer to a Concord or an NX in that the brains are installed inside the home and all the peripherals are installed at entry points or in bedrooms or wherever you need to. We just have a wireless bus instead of a hardwire bus. We can take hardwire inputs, but we bring it back to our wireless bus. So we've adopted wireless technologies to keep your costs low and giving you the flexibility of install. And then it's like a Simon in that it is 100% wireless, easy to install, fast to install, but just has a richer user interface. So we've tried to adopt this that'll fit dealers from all aspects of the market and really give you some tools to start to adopt this and get your teams trained up, and we're here to help you make that happen.
Yeah, and with this news, it's been a lot to digest. A lot of people kind of figuring it out on the fly. Brian, maybe you could help us by giving us some of the key takeaways and how to think about this.
Yeah, thanks, Kevin. I think that, when you really look at the ground level on what's happening to you folks as Interlogix dealers, you've been disrupted. And we explained some of the underlying causes and effects here today. But this isn't the last disruption this market is going to see. There are more coming, both from inside as well as outside. And so when you look at your next move, you need to ask yourselves, which path is going to lead me the furthest forward, and which is going to keep me leaping ahead of not only the players, your competitors that are in this industry now, but the competitors that are coming in from the outside. Because if you only move toward the smallest possible change from where your business is right now, you're setting yourself up to be disrupted again. And we intend to give you the solutions to the market that you can be at the front of this and avoid being disrupted again. So the takeaway from this, I believe, is we understand this market. We've been integral at the beginning of it. We've been integral in the middle of it, and it's not so much about history or claims to fame or living in the past. This is not at all. Most importantly is we think we have the talent and the technology and the vision to get the dealers and this market to where it needs to go next. And I hope that this presentation today gave you some inkling of that these things are true and that we have a vision and we can take you where you need to go.
Those are very salient points, Brian. It gives us all a lot to think about, but we've also got some questions from the audience. I know they've all got their own personalized issues that they're dealing with, and they're looking for some help out there. Are you guys able to stick around a little bit and answer some questions from our audience?
Absolutely.
Yes, of course.
Sure.
All righty, let's have at it. Hey everybody, thank you for joining us on this very special edition. We have a record turnout today and a record number of questions, so I'm going to skip the shout outs, just go right to your questions and try to make sure I can get them all in. So starting from the top, Steve is asking, what do you have to replace the Concorde for? Dave, do you have a good answer for that?
Sure. I kind of mentioned at the tail end of the presentation, architecturally this looks very much like a Concorde or an NX. The Connect Plus panel is the brains. You can install that anywhere. It can hang on a wall. It can be on a desk. And then we have both hardwire inputs that connect up 8 zones apiece. They provide battery backup and are UL listed, and then they communicate over a wireless link back. So it's a little bit of a different mindset, but conceptually it's architected very much like a Concorde panel. Alternatively, if you get into situations where you need more of a traditional architecture panel in commercial installations, we do have BAT Connect, which will give that same experience on a DSC Power Series, a NAPCO panel, a Honeywell panel. So we have a variety of options available, and happy to do a deeper dive with you.
All right. Brian is asking, do you think, so this is an overall question about the industry. Brian, I'm going to shoot this one to you. Do you think that Interlogix will be bought out before the end of the year?
Yeah, everybody's kind of scratched their heads on that question, and I guess the prevailing belief is that they've just written it off, and it's just evaporated. So that's kind of our operating assumption.
Wow, it's amazing to see such a big company just go up in smoke. Poof, there it was, there it's gone. But unfortunately, that's where the industry is.
Let me talk to that. We in the security industry, we're in a different realm than the greater consumer electronics space, right? And kind of metaphorically, we're kind of small games compared to the size of the consumer electronics market. Well, Interlogix itself was a very small part of the greater UTC company, right? So what's big to us in this industry is not necessarily big to the rest of the world, and that actually parlays into the things that are going to happen in this market. We're going to see these incursions as the greater consumer electronics space starts getting interested in our market. So this difference in size is kind of it kind of relates to the difference in size between UTC's gigantic company and what the security sector really meant to it. I'll give it back to you now, Kevin.
Yeah, that's a great point, Brian. Thanks for that context. Uriel has a question specific about UltraSync platform. Dave, I'm going to come back to you on this one too. We are curious about Interlogix's UltraSync platform destiny. Will it be discontinued or not upgraded?
Yeah, good question. I think, kind of related to the last question, we see all of these platforms going away. UltraSync being a little different in that they had the service element component to it, but that too is going to fall to the wayside. So I know UltraSync was pretty attractive in the builder channel. Interlogix and you, the dealers, were active on that front. We've got some programs to help you there where we can include some service as part of the upfront bundling, so you can do automation out of the gate and provide that service without a contract, and then upcharge for cellular and further interactive. But I think the UltraSync platform as a whole is going to go to rest like Concord and NX, unfortunately.
Dave, follow-up question also from Dave. He says, seeing as you are taking the lead with filling this void, do you have any forecasts of reductions on equipment pricing due to increased volume? I think we touched on that last slide, but Dave, why don't you talk a little bit about what we're doing around pricing to help these dealers out?
Yeah, I think you're seeing the industry as a whole. Everybody's trying to step up and look at the sunset and look at different ways to try and help dealers keep account creation costs low. I think our approach is on two fronts. Number one, we're going to package things in a way that make it easy to consume. We're working very closely with our distribution partners to make sure product is readily available. We're fortunate in that our supply chain, we're a growing company, and we've been leaning into that growth. And one of the big concerns that I think everybody has is, any manufacturer, are you going to be able to pick up the extra demand that's going to be out there because of the closing of Interlogix? And because we've been in growth mode, we have product available, and we've been really supporting our channel. So, from a pricing standpoint, you saw rebates we're doing and special package pricing to be able to get a fully interactive panel, with cellular backup well under $200. I think is an example of step one we're taking. We have very simple and straightforward service plans that are bundled with this. We'd be happy to share those with you. And we have marketing tools that are going to help you tell your story, your service story to your customers. And we're willing to step up to the plate on all those fronts and make sure that we can allow you to continue to be successful.
Excellent. Paul, I'm coming to you for this next question. It's specific about wireless. Scott asks, is there a suitable replacement for UltraSync, particularly with large wireless installations such as hotels or care homes?
Yeah, absolutely. The Connect Plus panel would have similar performance or better performance than the UltraSync panel based on its, it's got great range, better range than the UltraSync panel. So in a large installation like that, it would do as good or better. I think you always have to be careful putting a large wireless system like that in. Make sure you test it well and make sure it's properly installed. But the Connect Plus is actually being used in some elder care installs right now. It's going into some of those care home installations with one of our partners, and so we do have experience with it. And we have the UL commercial Berg ratings that you might want for some of those types of installs as well.
Excellent. Barrett is got a question. I'm going to come to you, Brian. He's asking, a majority of our customers have Interlogix panels. What do you offer for panel replacement and sensor crossover?
Let me answer. the first part of it is panel. I'm not sure what he means by panel replacement. Is he talking about what is our for leaving in the sensors? Is he have an ability to answer my question? Is he talking
unfortunately,
about leaving the sensors in? Okay.
Barrett, if you want to give us a little more context in the chat, I can relay that to Brian in the field. And in the meantime, we'll just press pause, and I'm going to go to another question for you, Brian. Let's see. Steve is asking, we have standardized with Alarm.com across the board. Will Alula panels work with Alarm.com?
No. Our objective of our company is to build the solution from top to bottom, and like we've said a number of times here, we firmly believe that the experience is driven from the top, and that's how we intend to differentiate it. So my short answer is no, it's not our intention to be driving a hardware experience through an Alarm.com service experience. Our focal point is to have the best serviced experience and support it with a broad and capable hardware line underneath that.
Got it. I'm hearing back from Barrett that his question was already answered in the presentation, so we've got that taken care of. Thank you, Barrett, for the clarification. Paul, let's go to you for this question. Brian is asking, how do we work the big hardwired systems through Alula?
Yeah, so we've already spoken about our hardwire translator. That's a UL-approved hardwire to wireless translator. Each one of those units handles 8 hardwire zones. It's got automatic end-of-line resistor detection and full tamper and alarm reporting in each one of those zones. You can put multiple of those in a Connect Plus installation, and so you can build up all the way up to the 96 zones that a Connect Plus supports. Those can all be hardwired zones if you like. You're just basically running them through our hardwired to wireless translator, and that's a battery-backed product as well. So you're not going to have any issues out there in the field with with power going out and those zones going down. It's got a rechargeable battery.
Great. Brian, I know that you, of course, can't predict the future, but you know a lot about this industry, and Anthony has a question. He says, how do you think Google, Apple, or other big companies will affect the security market since a big player left?
I think this is exactly what we're talking about with, like I alluded in my previous statement, the Googles and the Amazons are looking at this market. They see that it was interesting in the early, I suppose, 5-6 years ago when you'd go to these conferences and talking about IoT, security was the last thing that was mentioned. But over time, the larger players in the industry have started to, in this consumer electronics space that you're referring to here and I was referring to earlier, they're starting to realize that, oh my gosh, security is a core element that people are willing to pay a recurring monthly fee on, and suddenly this thing tipped upside down from, hey, there's a bunch of Internet of Things doodads you can play with and monitor your pulse or look in your garbage cans or something. But they gradually realized that, hey, security is a core part of this. Now, when some of these outside players have come in and taken shots at this and stumbled. Some really big players from that consumer electronics space have stubbed their toes in the security market because they don't realize there's some subtleties and complexities here. And we have a firm belief at Alula that the dealer and the professional network can be part of this IoT explosion because security is central to it, and we are building products that connect into that greater Internet of Things space. And like as I was alluding to in kind of my capstone comments, there's more disruptions coming, and we believe that we're positioning you guys to not get clobbered by those disruptions, but to participate in them. So yes, I think those bigger players like Amazon and Google are going to come in here, but I don't think they're going to solve all the problems that you guys have done for years. But together with us and our new technology, we'll do it together.
And I think if I could, Kevin, just build on that a little bit. It's spot on, Brian, and I think the one thing that is changing with consumer electronics entry into the IoT and into connected devices is your customer expectations are going up in terms of what they believe should be capable of any system that's being deployed. And the fact that you have feet on the street, you understand technology, you're kind of the technology visionary for the customers. Their expectations are higher. If anything, it's going to build more opportunities to connect more devices and more things together. And that's why vertical integration is important to us, because we can control and give you the tools not only in the security world, but then to bridge that into a broader automation world much more effectively.
Thanks, Dave. While I've got you, Utech has a product-related question for you. Is there a recessed wireless sensor available?
Yeah, in the Interlogix world, they had some wireless recessed sensors. We don't have a recessed, however, we do have our micro door window sensor, which is the smallest in the market, called NanoMax. Actually has external contacts on it, as well as both wall and cover tamper and 1-inch magnet gap. A lot of features built into that. So it's very easy to put a smaller recess, which is going to have less impact on the window or door frame, and then run that on a short link to the external contact on the micro, but no recess directly for us. We do, however, have a translator that's integrated into that can be integrated into Connect Plus, where we can listen to other wireless for both takeovers, or if there's other technologies that you want to use, they can be incorporated as part of the install as well.
Great, Dave, and I'm going to stay with you for a second. Gary has a specific question. How many zones connect to the wired translator?
Okay, yeah, we hit that. There's 8 zones per wired translator, 96 zones on Connect Plus overall, and then you can add, multiple translators to all the way up to that 96 zone limit.
Got it. Paul, over to you. I've got a question from Anthony. For an UltraSync system that was installed with the touchscreen, is the only option to replace the UltraSync hub to be able to install or replace a touchscreen?
So I'm trying to interpret that question. What I'll do is I'll articulate how I think you would handle an UltraSync installation with our equipment. So the UltraSync uses the 319.5 sensors from UTC, the old GE protocol. And as Dave was just mentioning, we do have the provision in the Connect Plus to pop a little translator card, and that's this part of our modularity I was just speaking about. But you can pop a little translator card in the Connect Plus that will listen to those 319.5 sensors. And so that would be the cleanest way to handle an UltraSync installation. You'd be able to leave all those sensors in the home. No more, you're not tearing them down, wrecking the paint, all that kind of good stuff. You don't have to pay somebody to be there half a day to replace the sensors. You just leave them all in there and put that translator card in a Connect Plus, and away you go. So I hope that answered the question. If not, maybe we could get a little more clarification from Anthony.
Got it. Anthony, if that didn't answer your question, please give us a little more context in the chat, and we'll come back to it. Question from William. We got this from a couple people, actually. Brian, I'm going to ask you this question. Can the presenters speak at all to Interlogix's no-charge self-monitoring service level?
I might be...
let's have Dave take that.
Sure,
yeah,
Dave, why don't you take that one?
Okay, so the way that the UltraSync was designed, actually you would from the app, you kind of log directly into the panel itself, and then it would present its status, so you weren't going through a cloud service. And I know there were some benefits in a lot of dealers that were using that as an entry into the builder market, where it'd be kind of free for automation and basic interactive control, and then it would cost if they're cellular. We have different package rates for interactive services for broadband only, which are very, very cost effective, and then slightly more expensive if you add cellular connectivity, but there's a cost associated with each. We are working with a number of dealers that have been active with builders where the cost of the equipment comes with multiple years of automation and local control capabilities built right into that upfront package. So you can put something in for dealers, have full automation and interactive controls, and then as you add cellular or central station monitoring to those programs, then there'd be incremental charges. So that's built up front, so you don't have to get a contract with anybody, and that's been the path that we've seen successful trying to help UltraSync dealers who have contracts with builders. If that doesn't answer your question, again, we'll follow up on any of these with more clarity, but we do have a one charge approach without an ongoing fee for those applications.
Paul, I'm hearing from Anthony that you did answer his question on UltraSync, but
Excellent.
We've got another question for you, Paul, from Uriel, BatConnect specific question. He asks, will BatConnect allow you to connect current networks, keypads, and expanders, or does the Autobus detection feature refer to that?
Yeah, so on the networks panels, yes, BatConnect will, you can jump right on the networks bus. So if you're taking over a networks installation, what you would do is put a BatConnect on that networks bus, and bingo, now you have Alula interactive services on the mobile apps. You can add home automation features. You can add integrated video. You would leave that NX panel in the installation. You'd leave all the sensors right where they are. The expander modules would stay because they're servicing those zones and such. And you could also leave the NX keypads in place as well if you like. Alternately, if you did not want to leave those keypads in place and you wanted to go with the touchscreen, the 7-inch touchscreen that we're offering, you could replace them or just add touchscreens into the installation. So there's a lot of options that you can add in that system, but fundamentally the answer to your question is yes, leave the NX panel in place, leave the peripherals in place, and you can add on, the reporting, the alarm reporting, and all these bells and whistles with the BatConnect.
Paul, I'm going to stay with you for this next question because it's about Cat M1, and you are an expert on that subject. James is asking, are there any assurances for the Cat M1 band availability from cell providers?
Yeah, absolutely there are. You do a little search on the web about this. You'll find a lot out there on Category M1. There's a few other names for it. Some people call it Cat M or LTE-M, but all of the large carriers are supporting this fully. It's rolled out in the U.S. as of about a year and a half ago by all the big carriers, the Verizons, AT&Ts, T-Mobile, and it's a worldwide standard as well. You'll find it's been rolled out in other countries as well. And on top of that, as I mentioned in the webinar just a few minutes ago, the larger organizations, even overreaching the carriers, the larger cellular working groups or industry groups have decided that the Category M1 functionality will be brought into the 5G world as well. So not only is it being adopted and promoted by all the carriers and the larger industry groups in the cellular world, but it's being propagated, it's not just a 4G LTE thing, it's being propagated in the 5G world. So yes, the answer to your question is everybody is fully on board with M1.
And following up on that, Dave asks, will the Category M1 GSM be available in Canada?
It's available right now. Yeah, the largest carriers in Canada have already rolled M1 into their installations into their cell towers. And so we're shipping Category M1 right now into Canada.
And specific to that, it's our AT&T version. We have AT&T and Verizon both. AT&T is the models that would work up in Canada, and M1 has better actual range than even LTE from a tower to device. So very good performance on those devices.
Dave, while I've got you on the line, Anthony has a question about the dashboard on the app. He's wondering if it can show multiple panels. For example, if you're a building manager and you'd like to manage multiple systems.
Yeah, that's a great question and something we neglected to mention. Yeah, when you log in, if there's multiple panels or accounts, when you log in, there's a drop-down at the top, and you can select the property. It's possible to have cameras for multiple properties that are under your account that you have access to be on a single dashboard, but the individual panels, you just have a drop-down menu and select that and control it right from the app.
Great. Paul, I'm coming to you for this next one. It refers to that XT, that news we just dropped. Ken is asking, can I use the Connect Plus ConnectXT with DLX 900 to program NX UltraSync panels?
DLX 900 is the what we would call the downloader for those panels. And we do not have that support right now, but I can say that we're working on it. We do have downloader support for some of the other panels supported by BAT Connect, and that'll be rolling out here shortly. And yes, we will be working on support for NX with DLX 900.
I think they said specifically UltraSync, which we don't have. The ConnectXTs for the Simon XT, XTI, XTI5, not for the UltraSync. Just to clarify on that particular point, but.
Got it. And we got a question, Dave, from UTech for you. We've talked a little bit about Alula Connect, but is there also a web portal for the customers to access via their computer?
Yeah, at this point we have app availability and we have Alula Connect, which is our dealer management portal. We are building an end user portal that will provide both video and security access and status and configuration, but we don't have that launched today. However, unlike Alarm.com, most of the configuration and settings, including adding and changing users and changing zone names and doing all of that, can be done right through the app itself. So many of those capabilities in terms of notification setting, all of those are done right inside the app. So there's less of a need for it, but we are still investing and look to have that in the beginning part of next year.
Got it. Paul, coming back to you with another M1 question. Nick is asking, will there be a BAT Connect M1 cellular card to retrofit 2 gig GC2 panels, similar to the Alula cell card for Simon panels?
I'd never say never, but there's nothing in the books right now or in the plans right now for that.
Got it. Well, you got one request from a customer, I guess. Dave, Barrett's asking, what about video cameras?
Yeah, we've talked about them a lot. We do have cameras that can be added, outdoor and indoor models. We have a doorbell camera, as well as an outdoor bullet, and then an indoor PTZ and an indoor stationary camera, all available. We're expanding that video offering. We have very simple packages, live view, talk and listen capabilities on each one of those, as well as an ability to capture and get notifications on clips and doorbell button press, all built and integrated right into the app.
And James has a quick question about that touch screen. Does it connect through Wi-Fi or RF?
That is it's a Wi-Fi connection, but it's a managed Wi-Fi network. It's connecting to the Wi-Fi inside Connect Plus or inside BAT Connect. I think there's a question coming up later about power being lost. We are battery backed up on all of these. The Wi-Fi connection stays active, so our touchpad will continue to interact with the panel even during a power outage condition. And the only thing we would use the home network for on the touchpad on Connect Plus is again to get video content, but that will also maintain a connection right to the panel. So for security interaction and all of that, it goes directly to our own managed network.
Paul, coming back to you for a question about encryption. Barrett is asking, what kind of encryption for sensors and panels is available?
Yeah, let me just add one thing on that last question, if I could.
Sure.
The one that I think Dave was jumping ahead a little there. He was addressing what if the power goes out on the Wi-Fi. So there's a lot of aspects to that because we do use the home network. We like to use broadband if it's available, but we also offer that M1 cell backup. And so, if the Wi-Fi happens to go down or the broadband happens to go down, we do have that cell backup. And you can certainly put these panels in with cellular primary as well. That's no problem. On to the question about encryption. Everything in our solutions is encrypted. Everything from the wireless from the sensors has full 128-bit encryption. Even the traces on our PCBs on our circuit boards have encryption on the signals back and forth between our modules. We don't leave anything to chance. We transmit nothing in the clear, even across the circuit board. So we're pretty sticky on that. There's nothing that we do that could be interpreted by anybody else looking in.
That's good
stuff. The other thing about our encryption, let me just mention one more thing about that, Kevin.
Sure.
We really try to keep our ecosystem tightly controlled. And one of the reasons is for that very security reason. We don't want to have the panel exposed out there in multiple ways on the internet. We don't want to be running standard operating systems that are easily exploited by millions of programmers. And so one of the things we really try to do, and this kind of comes from our ITI background dating back, so far with all our engineers, we really try to keep our ecosystem tight. And a lot of times we're using custom operating systems and custom firmware to make sure that we just kind of keep that attack surface small from a security standpoint.
Yeah, and Paul's got a great white paper on that called The Security of Security. Reach out to us if you want access at 1-888-88-ALULA or visit alula.net. Brian, we've got a question from Ken. He's asking, isn't Interlogix going to continue in Europe and elsewhere?
Yeah, I believe that there is some operations that continue in the security sector that was serving the United States in Europe, and there's some commercial elements too that UTC is keeping, but for the purposes of U.S. or North American residential security, the game is over, I think.
All right. Mike is asking on those same lines. He has an apartment complex that has an NX4 alarm system in there. Will he be able to purchase replacement boards for the NX4, or does he need to find a different application for them?
I think that Dave and Paul can swing at it too, but my first answer is that their standard response, from my understanding, is they're going to supply product through the end of the year, and after that, some warranty work, but I don't think they have a particularly long warranty. So I think people need to be figuring out what their future is.
Yeah, but again, if you're looking at old NX installs, old Concord installs, old Simon installs, the way to keep those rolling into the future is to install one of our communicators, right? And you're freshening up that installation with new features, and at the same time keeping it alive from a cellular sunset standpoint and a lot of other ways.
Dave, I'm coming to you for this next question because Lloyd is really just teeing it up for you, and I know you're probably salivating over this one. He's asking, do you or will you have a video doorbell, and will it display on your slimline touchpad?
Oh, yeah, thanks. I know you're excited for this too, Kevin. So we do have a video doorbell. and it's been widely deployed since we launched it last July, getting very good results and feedback from that. In terms of display on the touchpad, at the end of this month, I can say that now, we're in October, we're adding video capability to all of our touchpads. And one note we didn't make, we have our management portal for configuring systems. We also do firmware upgrades on a regular basis to all of our devices. They check in every day to see if there's anything new. And so we'll be going through a process of updating those that are deployed in the field with cameras, as well as everything new shipping out will be able to display video from not only their doorbells, but any cameras, as well as getting all the notifications and interactive talk lists and controls. And by the way, that will work whether it's on our Connect Plus or the Bat Connect. So even if you're putting this on a NX or a Concord panel, you'll be able to add video and see it on the touchpad.
Got it. Paul, here's a quick one for you from Steve. What frequency does Alula use for its transmitters?
The frequency we use is 433.92. That's the frequency we use for our native transmitters that work on the Connect Plus panel. But like I said, we also have that translator card. I want to reiterate that we do have that translator card for the Connect Plus panel that allows us to take over sensors at 319.5 megahertz or at 345 megahertz if you encounter an installation with Honeywell 2 gig sensors. We're able to take over that as well.
And let me stick with you for another question on M1. He's asking, this is Nick, will Alula be offering an M1 cell radio as a slave device with dial capture, similar to those offered by Uplink, Telguard, and Honeywell?
Yeah, absolutely, and shame on us for not mentioning this, but the Bat Connect product actually does have dial capture. We've got the tip and ring phone emulation right on the Bat Connect product. So there's a couple different ways to install that product. If all you're interested in is connecting that product to the tip and ring lines on the panel, we can do that for you. We offer those terminals. You can connect it up. We'll emulate the phone line, and that panel will dial out just as it has always done, and we will transfer those alarms through to the central station. The other way, obviously, is to connect to the data bus of the panel. But those tip and ring lines give us universal applicability to any panel out there that's shipped over the last few decades for sure.
Got it. And Dave, just a couple quick ones for you as well. Michael's asking, do you now have AT&T and Verizon now in the USA?
Yes, we certainly do. And again, the AT&T then carries up into Canada, Caribbean, and other parts of the world as well. So both available in both Bat Connect as well as in the communicators that go inside Connect Plus.
And Dave, another quick one from Barrett. We mentioned that battery backup. How long does the battery backup last in the case of a power outage?
So we go for full UL compliance with Berg. You need 24-hour backup battery for intrusion compliance, and for life safety, and for Berg you need 4 hours. So generally we have 24-hour battery backup built into the panel. The cell card will stay fully active for a period of time, and then it will shut itself down for power consumption mode unless it needs to come up for alarm, or I believe, Paul, it comes up periodically to check on interactive capabilities, and we leave broadband open for the interactive controls for the 24 hours, I believe is how it works, but maybe you can clarify that.
Yeah, that's right, Dave. You nailed it there.
Brian, I know you got to get going onto the road. I'm just going to ask you a quick last question here from Michael. What happens when the NX panel dies?
I think they're all dying. You move to Alula.
That's a good answer.
That was a little trite, but seriously, the official word is they're all going away, and I hope that today that we've we've given you guys a vision of how we can provide the solutions that are effective for you as you transition on to the next stage of your business's career. And not only that, so with great products that are positioned for the market going forward, but also we're taking care of you looking back, and all these panels and recurring revenue that are paying your good rent right now. So I hope that we've given a wide enough array of options and solutions for everyone here.
Yeah, and that's a good place to bring this to a close. I know everyone's eager to start their weekends. I'm sorry we didn't get to all of the questions. We had over 70 questions. I think we answered a good amount of them, but I know there's still some out there. If we didn't get to your question, please reach out to us, 1-888-88-ALULA. You can check out alula.net, and we will be having another webinar on Monday on Interlogix with a new live Q&A featuring these same panelists. So please bring those questions back, get them in early in the presentation, and we will make sure to answer them at the top. Dave, Brian, Paul, thank you so much for your expertise and for taking the time to answer these questions.
All right. Thanks to everybody for joining.
Thanks for joining
us.
everyone.